Thank you very much, Kalpana. I am first of all very thankful for this beautiful platform where we are able to share knowledge that we learned, right? We are able to share with each other. So thank you to Meditation Magic. Thank you to the host, her complete team, and all the participants that are here. Thank you for joining. And yes, we did one session of Anastasia last time, and we covered a high level some high level summary of the book. But for those who missed, I want to just quickly give a recap of last session and then we get into the actual story. So, as you all know, this is a book called Anastasia, which is the first book from the series called The Ringing Cedars of Russia, which got published in the mid 1990s. So there are actually 10 volumes of this book so far that got released, and this book already sold 10 million copies. I think during the 2000s itself, it already sold 10 million copies worldwide. And it has been translated in many languages, about 20 languages. This book is written by a person called Vladimir Megre, who is a Russian. And all of this happened in Russia. The book is about a lady named Anastasia, who was born in Russia. And she lives in the Siberian forest, a taiga. A taiga means, I think it's a forest region. They call it a Siberian taiga. So through this book and through Vladimir Megre, Anastasia, she shared her incredible ideas on various topics. So she speaks about spiritual farming, how to how to garden, how to plant the trees, and how to protect nature. And she even talks about sexuality, raising children, and she touches many topics throughout all these series. And even Patriji spoke about this book many times in many Mahila Dhyana Chakras, Chakra events, and he used to call her Lady Tarzan. And this is, yes, one of the books recommended by Patriji. So let's get into the actual summary of recap of last week's session. So Anastasia, she is born and brought up in a jungle. And she has been in jungle, and she has been living with plants and animals. She has always been in jungle, and she has absolutely no connection with the outside world. And Vladimir Megre, who is completely a businessman, he happens to know about the cedar trees which are grown in the Siberian forest. So he wants to make business from the cedar trees. And he gets into the forest where he meets Anastasia and he lives with Anastasia for 3 days. So during those 3 days, what happens? Anastasia talks to him about a variety of topics, like how to actually grow the plants, how to do the real gardening, like some ways to do the gardening practice, and how to protect the nature, and many things. She covers many things. And even she talks about the current problems in the current world. She gives solutions to many problems, and she talks even beyond science. So Vladimir Megre, he wonders how such a person who is living in a forest outside from away from the outside world, knows everything that is happening around. And she he feels, Vladimir Megre, he thinks, this there is something mystical about this lady. And at times, he feels like, she's very intelligent, but at the same time he thinks, she's very mystical, and there is something not very right with this girl lady. So, and most of this book is it's mostly like a novel, and it's a conversation in between these two people. So it's not it's more like a novel or a story, which is like a very interesting to read or hear. So Anastasia, as she talks about all of these things, and Vladimir, wonders how she's doing all of this, and so Anastasia, throughout this conversation, she keeps telling him that she's also an ordinary human being, just like all of us, and that she tells him that she is connected to the outside world through her ray of light, which she which is the third eye. She calls the third eye as the ray of light. So she says through her ray of light, she is seeing all the things that are happening around the world. And she also tells Vladimir that she tells every human being has the same potential, just like her. But we only that the humans, we are just disconnected from everything, and we forgot that we have the same power and abilities. So Now let's get into the actual story. So as we mentioned, right now Vladimir gets to spend 3 days in the for jungle with Anastasia around. But actually, let's see how it started. So Vladimir Megre, as we discussed, he is a businessman and he is a captain of a ship. So he is into trading business where he collects, stuff from tribal areas and brings to the cities and sells them. Likewise, he takes stuff from cities and sells in the all the tribal coastal areas. That this is he is into such sort of a trading business and he's also captain of a ship. So he happens to travel along the coastal areas and no, he's one day he happens to stop at a shore. There he sees two old people, old men actually, standing and waiting for him actually. In fact, they looked as if they are waiting for this person, Vladimir Megre itself. So as soon as they see this person, they come to him and, they tell him that, they are in need of people, especially men, who can help them cut a tree which is 25 kilometers deep in the forest. It's not on the shore. Whoever comes to help, they have to walk along the forest 25 kilometers, and it's somewhere deep in the forest. So Vladimir Megre, he is a businessman, right? He doesn't see any potential in that talks, whatever these old men people tell him. He thinks these people are just getting rid of something, and he absolutely shows no interest. So then those two people, they try to explain the significance of the cedar trees. And in the last session, we heard the significance of the cedar trees, right? So these trees are like long pine trees, which are filled with energy from the cosmic. And seems like these trees, they store the information from the universe. So they live for 550 years. And throughout these 550 years, what they do, they receive the energy from the cosmic, and they receive universal information, and they store it within themselves. So each part of the tree, like say, be it like the seeds of the tree, or the wood, or the what is it, the bark, or every part of the tree carries this universal information. So whoever consumes these trees, or make use of this tree in any way, these energies, or this energy is instilled in them, whoever consumes this tree. So Vladimir, they tell him all of this significance about the trees, but even then Vladimir, he doesn't show any interest at all. So then they start to convey him more things, like in the ancient days, the kings used to make beds out of this. People used to just use it in their homes as a furniture, or in the door as a door, or a bed, or a cot. And people used to be connected with it, so they stayed connected with it to heal themselves. So they tried to explain the significance of it in many ways, but even then, again, Vladimir, he doesn't see any potential from that business, as a business. So he again shows no interest at all. And so what happens now that these trees, right, as I mentioned, they live for 550 years. Now this is the time that they have to cut the tree. So they tell this thing to Vladimir. So Vladimir asks, oh, is it so? Then how do you know it is the time to cut? How do you know that this is the time to cut the tree? Then the old man says, what happens, like in the last 3 years of this the tree period, the tree starts to make some sounds. It sounds as if, how it sounds when we stand under a high tension wire, right? Like the humming sound. It makes some sounds like that. That is why these are called the ringing cedars. Those trees are called the ringing cedars because they make these sounds in the last 3 years, which means it's a signal, it's giving signal to the human that it is the time to cut them and make use of each part of this tree, because they carried this cosmic energy and the universal information in itself, right? Now that before the tree dies, it wants the humans to make use of each part of it. So now it is the time, and it's already 2 years, that 2 years is already over, and they only have 1 year left to cut the tree. And if they do not cut the tree, the old man also explains what happens if they do not cut the tree in that span of 3 years. The tree catches fire by itself, and it starts to burn by itself. So, and when it starts to burn itself, it seems like it will take 29 years to completely get burnt. So it means, imagine, it has that much of energy within it. And if you remember, we used to hear that, in the childhood, some bunkers, petrol bunkers or something underneath the earth, right? They used to get to catch fire. And I remember an incident where, a bunker under the earth, it caught fire. And it took about, 1 or 2 months for them to get control of it, which we mean basing on the capacity of the bunker, right? Which, so now we can imagine, if tree is taking 29 years to, completely burn itself, how much of energy it is holding, right? So even after telling all of this, Vladimir is again still not convinced. He is like, okay, whatever. What if one more tree burns? It doesn't bother him, right? So he's of that mindset. So then again, these people are trying these two old men, right? They're trying many ways to convince him. So they finally show him a wooden pendant. And that wooden pendant, it does not have any shape, or, it has no special looks. It just looks like a very like chopped piece of wood. And so Vladimir thinks, this is something of, that something, he thinks this is just like any ordinary wood piece. And again, he shows no interest in, in going with them and helping them. And because, remember, if you remember, even in our ancient days, our elders also used to, if any child is sick, if they fall sick, they used to bring some kind of pendant, right? Used to call them tayattu, and they used to tie it around the kid's waist or neck or the arms. So he thinks, Vladimir thinks that this is just something of that sort, and, so again, it doesn't, make him interested. So again, so like this, the people are those two old men, they're trying to plead him. So the other guy, the second guy, he'll be like pleading Vladimir, like, please, please, please come and help us. So then Vladimir asks him, why are you so much pleading me? Why are you so desperate? No, please tell me, what is the market value? How do I make some money out of this, and how do I, make a business out of it? So then this guy tells him that, whoever wears that pendant on their body, they'll be very healthy and they will not fall sick at all. So there is no illness, and they will have a very happy life. And then, as long as this piece of wood, the pendant is touching the body, it's always, healing the body, and, keeping you very healthy. And, and he also tells that, it increases the span of life, span of life. And the guys ask Vladimir then, okay, now look at us and tell us how old we are. So the first old man asks, guess my age. And Vladimir thinks, he looks at him and he thinks he is about in his 70s or something. But then that man says, I am 119 years old, 119 years old. And he tells that, this is my son, and guess my son's age. Then Vladimir thinks the son is about 40 years. But then he tells him that, no, my son is about 70 years. So they both of them do not absolutely look like, they are in 70s and that 119 years old at all. So then Vladimir thinks, okay, they seem very young at their age. But again, doesn't get his interest. So all of this is happening, and what happens now? This is the time that, the ship has to go back. So a lady comes out from the ship and tells Vladimir, to get back to the ship. Vladimir, he starts to get back to the ship, and the old men, these people, right, they are very disappointed, and they know that, Vladimir is going back, and finally they found nobody to help. So what they do, they see this lady coming out, and they have a wooden pendant with them, which they give to the lady, and I think they put it on her. So that is end of that part, like wherein, that lady got that pendant. It is on her right now. Vladimir gets back to the ship, and the ship goes back. So these people are very disappointed because, they have to find more people to, so get help to cut the tree. And then, so what happens after this? All of this happened, Vladimir, he falls sick. He falls sick, and he's badly ill. that, he gets bedridden, and during the 6 months, because he's bedridden, he loses all his business, right? So there is no business, and he runs out of money, and, he's in a very bad situation. And but, when he was on the bed, he researches about the cedar trees and finds out that, oh, there is a lot of market value to this any of these products coming from cedar. And it seems like 1 liter of cedar oil, it costs about some 50K. I mean, just, it's a huge amount, whatever, right? Like 1 liter of oil, he hears that it is costing about, a huge amount. He can make huge amounts of money if he starts to make business out of cedar trees. So that is when he realizes, okay, there is a lot of potential in this business, and, now he wants to do some business with the cedar trees. And as soon as he gets discharged out of the hospital, like he comes out, right? Then the lady who got the pendant, right? I think she is the secretary of this person, Vladimir, and he happens to see her, and he notices a new energy in that lady. He sees, like, she is like bouncing, very beautiful. So he goes and meets her family, and her husband tells Vladimir that, he tells Vladimir, oh, many things have changed in the last 6 months. My wife has become even more beautiful. She's like, now, like, they become even more younger, and both of their relationship, they got a lot better. There have been no fights in between them, and, they have been like a very happy environment at home. And, he tells like all good things, and then also he tells that, her efficiency, her ability at work also increased tremendously. And he thinks, and they both think that all of this happened only after she wore that pendant. So this is what he gets to know. And now Vladimir, he desperately, like, he wants to go get into the forest, and, get do the business. So I think, in the last session we started there, where Vladimir gets into the forest, but this is the story behind it. So now he comes to the forest. So what he does, he gets on a ship, and he doesn't remember what was the shore that he last visited, where he met this old man. So he keeps on going, and, at one shore, he finally sees a lady. She was like standing and, waving at him. So he stops there, and, gets down off the ship, and goes meet her. Then that lady is like, hey, welcome. Like waiting for him actually. So she welcomes him, and they both then they start to get into the forest. Do we have more time? Okay. So they both get into the forest, and the last time we heard, right, as they both walk into the forest, Vladimir notices that, this lady is actually oh, okay, the first time when Vladimir sees Anastasia, Anastasia is wearing a very simple, very thin dress, thin, and, like a nice floral small dress with a small cardigan on top of it. Whereas, Vladimir, he be, being in the forest area, right? Siberian forest, where it is supposed to, I think, it is almost 9 months of ice throughout the year, and it's always very cold. So in that kind of environment, Vladimir is wearing layers and layers of clothes, wherein, he finds Anastasia to be wearing a very simple dress with a very small cardigan. And as they start to walk into the forest, uh, what happens? Anastasia, she's like, walking in the forest as if she's like almost like flying like a butterfly, right? Like very easily walking in the forest without any shoes and barefoot. And she's like happily jumping and, humping all along. And he sees as he sees as she's doing, as she's walking, all the animals and the birds, they were also coming along. They were also dancing along with her, humming and joining her. And what happens, Anastasia, the only jacket that the small jacket, whatever she was wearing, she kind of takes it out and, just hangs it on the one of the trees there. So then this guy, Vladimir, he gets very surprised. Okay, is this girl she looks like very crazy to him, because she's so different from him, right? And she seems to be very comfortably walking in the jungle as if she knows each and every corner of the forest. And as they walk into the forest, I think last time we already covered, but I will repeat. As they walk into the forest, they talk along, and she takes him to a place and where they halt, and she shows that this is her home. So in fact, actually, there is no home there. There is no room, or there is no home, or there is no bed or nothing. It's like deep in the forest. So this guy gets really mad. Cat gets mad, and he's like, is this your room? Is this where you live? Or you? And he gets frustrated with with what he sees throughout, right? Because Anastasia, she is away from this outside world, and she absolutely just lives with what is available in the forest. She eats food just that is available in the forest. She has no house, so she literally sleeps in the forest, just on the branches, or maybe surrounded by animals. So this is what he sees during that walk, and he really gets frustrated at sometimes, looking at all of this, and he even thinks that he thinks that he's getting trapped, or he's falling into some trap, entering the jungle and being with her. So that is what we have covered from last time. And so as the day passes, uh, Anastasia shows him the cedar trees. He goes, sees the cedar trees, and they come back, and uh, he's hungry, so he asks for some food. And as he asks, Anastasia just gives signal to some as she signals, right, the rabbits and squirrels around her, they bring in some food, which is like some mushrooms, and I think dried mushrooms, and just some fruits available, right? So that is how Anastasia lives. As in, when she is hungry, there is no like storing food. As in, when she is hungry, she just signals, and all the animals gets her food. So that is what she gets, gets to Vladimir also. Then he's again same thing, frustration comes out, and he's like, oh, do I have to eat this food that is already like in the mouth of some animals, who you expect me to eat this? And she says, yes, this is absolutely fresh food, and this is what is available in the forest. So he somehow gets convinced and eats that fresh that whatever food is available. And because he's very tired throughout this journey, all day long, he's very tired, right? So he asks, please provide me a place to sleep. She says like she openly sleeps in the forest, but then looking at his frustration, she agrees to just arrange a spot for him. So she arranges a fox den, wherein there are wherein she collects some branches and leaves of cedar trees, and she just tries to arrange a bed for him. So he happily sleeps on the bed, and because he's very tired, and he immediately falls asleep. The next morning, as soon as he wakes up, he thinks that that was the best ever sleep he had till then. Because see, he being a businessman, he was visiting many hotels, all the luxury, he was enjoying all the luxury. Even then, he felt this night, that sleep that he had last night was the best ever of all of the nights. So, and also the smell from the cedar trees, right? It's like a nice aroma coming, and that aroma itself was healing his body. So he thoroughly enjoyed. He had a very good sleep all last night, and he wakes up very fresh. And wherein now he wakes up and comes out of the den, wherein he sees Anastasia. She is like enjoying the sunlight, and she's being out in the nature and enjoying sunlight, and I think she's taking bath or something. So Anastasia asks Vladimir, okay, how was the sleep? And he didn't tells her that he had the best sleep ever. uh, I think, should we stop here, Kalpana? Do we have more
Yeah.
time? I want to leave
No,
some
I
time
think
for Q&A.
we'll stop here.
Sure. And just I want to end with one teaching from Anastasia from this book one. So Anastasia discusses a lot of things with Vladimir throughout these 3 days, right? And one of the teachings she talks about is how to seed the plants, how to grow the plants. And she has her own technique, or her teaching is that one has to the teaching. I mean, this is how she tells suggest. Well, this is what she suggests. Whatever seeds you are planting, you want to plant, you have to take those seeds, and you have to, I mean, just say like if I'm planting a cucumber or whatever seed, right? Any small seeds, you have to take those seeds and put them under your tongue, wherein we have the saliva standing there, right? So you have to let those seeds sit under your tongue in the saliva for about 9 minutes, and have your mouth closed so that they sit in the saliva. And during this time, what happens, these seeds, they read the your body's conditions. They kind of it reads your DNA, like how with a pinch of blood they do several tests and reads about all your body reports, right? Same way, like these seeds, they absorb they from your saliva, they read all the information about your body. And what should be done after 9 minutes, you take them out and put them on your hands, put them in your hands and give them some love, take them out in the nature, give them some love and put them out in the universe, show them to the universe. And wherever you want to plant these plants, you have to literally stand there on barefoot and stand in the place with your the seeds in your hands. Just stand there for a couple of minutes and then sow the seed there in that spot. Okay, there what you're doing with standing barefoot, you're again connecting yourself with the mother nature, right? So what happens once you sow this way, and for 3 days you should not be watering this plants at all, because these seeds already received the first water from your saliva, right? That is the first water it receives. And Anastasia says no watering for 3 days. You can water after. So you have to sow the seeds and just leave them for 3 days, and later after you can water them. So this is the technique she suggested. And what is the purpose of it? So whatever the seeds sown this way, the fruits that the plant yields, these fruits are supposed to carry the information, or what your body is lacking, whatever your body needs, because it already read your body conditions, right? So it will contain all the nutrients that will help your body heal when upon consuming these fruits. So that is the technique suggested. I hope it is clear. So the fruits that come out of these plants, they are upon consuming, they are supposed to heal your body. So this is one of the teachings from Anastasia from book 1. And if you want more details, please refer to many videos available. There are techniques on videos on Anastasia's techniques about planting seeds. So yes, masters, this is one teaching from this book 1. Next, going forward, in many other coming sessions, we can cover many teachings. I mean, every session we can cover some teachings along with. See, this is like a story that goes on. It's like a vast story that goes on. So as time permits, we will just try to cover as much as we can in each session. So I would like to end here and leave the floor open for any questions.